Shalom. This is a continuation of part one. I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to the one true power, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash, and double honors to the elder apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who rule well and teach well through the Spirit, and a mighty Shalom to the hopeful elect. In the same Spirit, scatter four corners of the earth, that they all continue in sound doctrine. Shalom to the Akwaf, the sisters of his faith and his truth, Lord willing that you continue to pursue your lot, which is being a loving and silent and virtuous wife, Lord willing. Yahweh Shem Shai has mercy on the other brothers and sisters that's not in the faith. So the title of this lesson is Be Like the Bereans, Examining All Things by the Scriptures. Let's just get right into it. Let's start off with the point of this lesson, which is Acts the 17th chapter. Right? Even if it's me teaching, any brother that say that they in this truth, you should have a readiness mind to hear the scriptures, and then you want to search the scriptures daily if it was so. If you are a true believer, first speaking to you men, you're going to divide the word of truth as a student. So this is Acts 17, verse 10 and 11. And the brethren immediately sent away Paul and Silas by night unto Berea, who coming thither went into the synagogue of the Jews. They were more noble than those of Thessalonica, and that they received the word with all readiness of mind and searched the scriptures daily, whether those things were so. Right? So the Bereans are an example of spiritual nobility because they tested everything by the scriptures. Okay? Received the word with readiness, listened carefully, not blindly, and verified everything through the scriptures daily. And this would be in the same spirit of the elect that's on this side. So let's get into they verified everything by the scriptures. They didn't take Paul's word as law. They searched for themselves. Now we understand. I want to get this side precept real quick. At certain points when Paul was speaking or bringing forth a law. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 37. It says, if any man think himself to be a prophet or spiritual, let him acknowledge that the things that I write unto you are the commandments of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Even in the NLT, it says, if you claim to be a prophet or think you are spiritual, you should recognize that what I am saying is a command from Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai himself. These were commandments, depending on the certain points of what Paul was saying, right? So they still searched the scriptures daily if it was so, to make sure what Paul was bringing forth is not false doctrine or taking them away from Yahweh, right? And especially when Paul was teaching of Yahushai. Is he teaching of a new God? This is Isaiah, the 34th chapter, in verse 16. Search ye out the book of Yahweh, and read. No one of these shall fail. None shall want her mate. From my mouth it have commanded, in his spirit it have gathered them. So you're supposed to be seeking out this Bible. We're supposed to be reading, right? That's why just instead of me just taking what the apostles or brothers say, whatever they bring forth, I have my own Bible, which I should be able to dissect what brothers are saying. I should be pausing the video, go looking up these precepts. If I already know the precept, let's line them up with the other precepts that brothers is bringing out. Okay. I want to go to 1 Timothy, the 4th chapter, in verse 13. It says, let me start at 12. It says, let no man despise thy youth, but be thou an example of the believers in word and in conversation, in charity, in spirit, and in faith, in purity. Till I come, give attendance to reading, to exhortation, to doctrine, right? Till Yahweh shall come, give attendance to reading, to exhortation, encouragement, and to doctrine. This is why we listen to brothers bring forth this word, right? Let's get 1 Thessalonians 5 and 21. It says, especially if you're a teacher, this is for you. Prove all things and hold fast that which is good. the main thing we should be proving is what it says in the scriptures. Even if we're going into certain words, you get the homology, the concordance, the strongs of that word to make the lesson hit even more. Because this is all about getting the right information so we can walk in that straight and narrow. Okay. Now I want to get this classic. I've already put this in part 1, but this right here is like one of the basic precepts. This is 2 Timothy chapter 2 verse 15. Study to show thyself approved unto the Most High, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. And you divide it by precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little, and we divide it by whatever lesson. Like if we going into reincarnation, we're dealing with reincarnation, not salvation. If we're going into salvation, we're not going into the MOTB because we're dividing it to make sure the sheep is being fed. Now, brothers can do lessons in lives and somebody asking a question in the live and a brother answer it, and that question might not even pertain to the lesson. So we put in the lesson we're going into on pause, and that question right there is a lesson. So we got to divide the word of truth just for that topic and give key precepts, line upon line, here a little, or precept upon precept for that question so that they can be persuaded this is the answer. And they're going to have a readiness mind to hear it. Then after, whatever the time seems fit for them, they're going to research them same scriptures, right? And if the Spirit dealing with them, they shall understand, okay? So now, the people of Berea, they searched the scriptures daily. They did it consistently. Because what does that do? It builds spiritual strength the more consistent you are, right? Let's get the classic in the book of Judges, the first chapter. Not Judges, Salaki. I'm over here excited. Joshua, the first chapter. In verse 8, it says, this book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thyself prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. So the first 5 books of the Bible is, that foundation, the beginning of this walk, which we should always meditate on, because especially when we going into Yahushua and Paul, they were referencing the law, the Psalms, and the prophets. So this is something that you want to always sharpen yourself on, especially when you going into Paul's letters, right? Let's go to Psalms chapter 1, verse 2. Psalms chapter 1, verse 2. It says, but his delight is in the law of Yahweh, and in his law doeth he meditate day and night. Because even in the law, we see prophecies, dark sayings, you got parables, and you got Yahushua in the law. Okay? It's the foundation of this thing. This is Acts, the 5th chapter. Acts chapter 5, reading verse 42. I'll read verse 39. It says, but if it be of the Most High, ye cannot overthrow it, lest happily ye be found even to fight against the Most High. Because they were speaking about bumping against the apostles, and whatever they was teaching, if it's of God, you can't overcome it. Because if you really fighting against it, you fight against Yahweh Shema Shai. But if it's false, it's going to come to naught. And that's the same with brothers that's actually teaching you sound doctrine, 100% truth. If it's of the Most High, eventually, with you being diligent in your search on what brothers is bringing out, the homology, history, you're going to be persuaded through the Rakak Wadash. Okay, and to him they agreed. And when they had called the apostles and beaten them, they commanded that they should not speak in the name of Yahushua, and let them go. And they departed from the presence of the council, and rejoicing that they were counted worthy to suffer shame for his name. And daily in the temple and in every house they ceased not to teach and preach Yahushua and Mashiach. So the same as being diligent, not stopping teaching, is the same with not stopping studying, sharpening your sword, right? Because I don't know if y'all know, whenever you get a blade, a kitchen knife, eventually it get dull. Some people might not know, then they throw it out and get a new knife. But all you got to do is get a blade sharper, a knife sharpening. Like you get a stone, you can sharpen your blade on a stone. You can get the stone wheel. You can get that plastic device you just slice your sword through, and it's like metal or steel that kind of sheds off the blade part to make it even more sharp, and then your knife is new again. Okay, so us going in the scriptures, you talking to your brother, you're sharpening your sword. You're building spiritual strength, right? Because the scriptures is our strength, and the scriptures is spiritual. Okay, so those in Thessalonica, what we see in Acts shows two different spirits. You got the Thessalonicas, and then you got the people of the Berea people, right? Thessalonica, what was it? A spirit of envy, resistance, and contention, right? They move with envy. Let's go back to Acts the 17th chapter, and let's read verse 5. It says, "But the Jews which believed not moved with envy, and took unto them certain lewd fellows of the baser sort, and gathered a company, and set all the city on an uproar, and assaulted the house of Jason, and sought to bring them out to the people." So you had people in the midst of Jake that did not believe. That's the same spirit of Jake today. But the people of Berea, they had a spirit of humility, study, and diligence. Just because you coming with this, hey, let me hear what you're saying before I give a sharp rebuke. You know what? It's going to take me a few days, maybe a few hours. Let me go read these scriptures. The same as what I said in another lesson or a live. To be baptized, it takes some time. It's not the same as being dipped in water, because you're getting that real baptism, which is the word. Okay? So, the elect must have the Berea mindset. All right? In these last days of deception, don't believe men because you like them. They're a superstar or they got money. F all of that. Believe because the precepts line up. Right? We're trying to believe what thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. And truly, if what that brother is saying is true, that means he was moved through the Rakak Wadash. Let's actually get that, even though it's speaking about how these words was written. This is 2 Peter's chapter 1 in verse 19. It says, "We have also a more sure word of prophecy, whereunto ye do well that ye take heed, as unto a light that shineth in a dark place, until the day dawn and the day star arise in your hearts. Knowing this first, that no prophecy of the scriptures is of any private interpretation. For the prophecy came not in old time by the will of man, but holy men of the Most High spake as they were moved by the Rakak Wadash." So it's holy men on this side that is speaking through the Rakak Wadash, because they're being moved. Man's going to the Lord, right? Let me get another precept, right? Because the men of the Lord, Yahushai is speaking through them. That's Hebrews chapter 1 in verse 1 and 2. Okay? So I think it's Proverbs the 16th chapter we want. This is Proverbs chapter 16, verse 1. "The preparations of the heart in man, in the answer of the tongue, is from Yahweh." Right? Your mind, right, is prepared. Your words is prepared by Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. It's just like when brothers do lessons. You can come across a lesson and you get inspired to do a lesson. Maybe something that was on your mind, but it was all Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. He orchestrated it. And it's the same with those that are false teachers and leaders. Your lesson is set up by Yahweh, either to deceive the masses, because the Lord know your heart. Everybody's going to receive what's ever in their heart, their reign, right? According to their ways. If you're wicked, you have wicked intentions, the Lord is going to use you for those wicked, those for that wicked lot. Okay, we are not wrestling against flesh and blood, but against spirits in high places, right? So you have to understand this thing is bigger than us. So if somebody teaches something false, you have to know that you're dealing with a left-hand side spirit. And even the devil understand these scriptures. So they have to be eloquent on that side to deceive the masses. You, as somebody that actually fear the Lord and actually want to be worthy in his eye, you're going to try to rightly divide the word of truth so that you're not getting that condemnation, right? Let me get that. I'm going to just read in the NLT real quick. When you go to James chapter 3 and verse 1 in the NLT, it says, "Dear brothers and sisters, not many of you should become teachers in the church, for we who teach will be judged more strictly." Okay? So brothers that's teaching, I don't care how long, how many days you've been in here, you're going to be judged strictly. This is why the men of the Lord should be taking this serious. Okay? I'm not speaking, you false teachers, you take it serious to deceive the masses, right? Which on the left-hand side, you doing your job. Okay? So truly, if the man of the Lord is bringing forth the sound doctrine, it's Yahweh Shai that's speaking through him because he abide in him, right? Hebrews chapter 1, verse 1, "The Most High, who at sundry times in diverse manners spake in time past unto the fathers by the prophets, have in these last days spoken unto us by his Son, whom he have appointed heir of all things, by whom also he made the worlds." Yahweh Shai is speaking through the men of the Lord. The men of the Lord got their first inheritance, right? Which, let me get this in Ephesians chapter 1, verse 14. "In order for me or any man in this thing to truly teach the word in righteousness, have to have the Rakak Wadash." So this Ephesians chapter 1, verse 14. In the AMP, the Amplified Bible, it says, "The Spirit is the guarantee, the first installment, the pledge, the foretaste of our inheritance, until the redemption of the Most High's own purchased possession, which is his believers, to the praise of his glory." So the Rakak Wadash is the first installment, and it's for those that believe. We see in Acts the 10th chapter, when Peter was teaching his word, the word of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, the Rakak Wadash, these Gentiles was filled with it because they believed. Okay? So for how much more for the men that's teaching? So the elect must have the people of Berea's mindset. And in these last days of deception, don't believe men because you like them or they look good or how long they've been in the truth. Believe because the precepts line up. Don't follow doctrines blindly, because those that are actually blind, teaching you blind niggas, you're going to both fall into a ditch. So search the scriptures whether these things be so. Okay? If I understand John 3:16 or somebody telling me John 3:16, I'm going to search it, get the etymology of words. How did he do this? How did he get that? And I'm going to try to get that understanding. And if I'm persuaded by the Rakak Wadash, I'm going to know that what this brother said was correct. Okay? So don't let emotions override truth. The Bereans didn't get emotional. They got scriptural. They got right into it. Don't be a lazy Israelite. Truth requires daily effort, right? What did it say? Don't be slothful in business. Got another one. Proverbs 6, which this one is, to me, is a great example. It says, "Go to the ant, thou sluggard." Sluggard means lazy. "Consider her ways and be wise. Which having no guide, overseer, or ruler, provideth her meat in the summer and gathereth her food in the harvest." Ants don't have a ruler, but it still go out and work and perform its lot that it has to do. So you have to perform yourself. This is why we study the ant. They're the example of a worker. Don't be slothful in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai's business. Why does this matter for the elect? Because Yahweh Shai is only dealing with those who follow the word over everything else. Okay? Let's go to these last few precepts. Right? Let's go to St. John. Let's go to St. John, the 8th chapter. verse 31 and 32. This is what it reads. It says, Then said Yahushua to those Jews which followed him, If ye continue in my word, then are ye my disciples indeed. And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. How are we free? This is speaking about spiritually and mentally, right? But I just got to go to another one because it just hit me. Lord willing, I can remember the actual precept. I know it's in Corinthians. Maybe it's 2 Corinthians. Yeah, it's probably 2 Corinthians. Salaki family, I want to get the right one for you guys. 2 Corinthians, boom, 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 boom. Is it 2 Corinthians 2 and is this it? Salaki family. Our weapons are not carnal. Okay, I found it. This is 2 Corinthians chapter 10. And let me see where we want to start. I'll start at verse 2, but the point is around verse 3 and 4. It says, But I beseech you that I may not be bold when I am present with that confidence, wherewith I think to be bold against some, which think of us as if we walked according to the flesh. For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through the Most High to the pulling down of strongholds. And this is what it is. You know, everything that's truly being taught, you know, in righteousness is about pulling down the strongholds of false teaching, lies, things that like men might be hurling, right? They're teaching for lucre's sake. You got some that's teaching for bribery, like Eli children, teaching for bribery, right? The men of the Lord are sincere, and you can't just really just look in the flesh. You see it through the spirit because you got to have spiritual discernment, you know? So you're free by this word. The word is Yahushai, but the word is the doctrine of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, okay? And when we go to 1 John 2 and 21, can't no lie be of the truth. So somebody has to bring forth that 100% truth. So we have to continue in Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai's word, which means you're going to be a disciple indeed, a true learner, a true student. Let's go to Psalms 119. Psalms 119, verse 105. And it says, Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. Right? This is what shines in front of you believers. It's the word. Well, why you think the words stay on your mind? Especially like some of us brothers will be thinking about a lesson or a title or something that we read. And then, you know, you might didn't do a lesson, and then you go on YouTube and it'd be, of course, multiple notifications. A brother doing a lesson, and this man is saying the same thing you was just thinking. Now that right there is a message. You got to do a lesson on it now. That the spirit of the Lord is continually moving, right? That's in Wisdom of Solomon, the 7th chapter. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7, verse 24. For wisdom is more moving than any motion. She passeth and goeth through all things by reason of her pureness. The spirit of wisdom is always moving, always flowing. Same with this video is another brother doing a video, another brother doing a live, another brother studying, another brother coming up with a live. Maybe multiple brothers is sitting down having a conversation with scripture. The spirit is always flowing. Okay, let's get this one, Revelations 3 and 11. It said, Behold, I come quickly. Hold that fast which thou hast. Let no man take thy crown. And really, you know, when somebody can move you from the true doctrine, somebody have taken your crown. They removed you from it. Okay? So you got to hold fast to the doctrine, let alone stay into it. You know, I'm reading books that I already read, and I'm just finding more clues, more understanding, right? And it's like lately I've been thinking of David. It's brothers that been speaking about David, speaking about faith. And I'm like, yo, how I'm thinking about this. And this brother said, I'm hearing about somebody commit suicide. And the brother starts saying, I couldn't listen to the word all day at work. I felt like killing myself. I felt dead. I felt like a human. I'm like, yo, guess what? I had to do a lesson on that. How is that happening? So I understand even more without this word, without speaking about it, without being in it, you are in a dead fucking estate. You know? So it keeps you in tune what's going on. So this is why when somebody's speaking shabba dabba ding dong, you catch the bullshit. Right? You catch on it. Okay? So the people of Berea showed us the standard of the elect to rise, not fall. The same lesson I just did about Luke, the 2nd chapter, verse 34. Because of Yahushai, many are going to rise and fall. And guess what? The hearts of many shall be revealed. To discern the truth, not to be deceived, to endure and not faint. So these are the things you must do. Receive the word, which is hear. Use your 2 ears. Study the word, which you should make an action. Put your face in his word, right? Where, let me just get this because I just said that. First Chronicles 16, going straight to the point. Verse 11, seek Yahweh his strength. Seek his face continually. Throughout this Bible, you seeing seeking his face. Okay? Test the doctrine. How do we test the doctrine? Just like Yahushua did in Luke, the 2nd chapter. He asked the doctors of the law questions. And of course, he answered them questions. Certain things that you might not understand or you see, you asking your brothers. It's things I know, and I hit up brothers, and I might ask a history question just to have conversation with them. You know, you test the doctrine, or better yet, another way to test it. I can only speak for me, and other brothers. If I'm reading a chapter, I'm about to do a lesson on that chapter or a certain breakdown, and I got it, but I want to make sure I'm everything I said going through, even if I didn't do the lesson in a minute, I'm about to try to examine to see if this is right. I'm gonna test if what I said was right. So I go look up GMS Isaiah 34. Okay, I got all the precepts. Now this what I'm gonna say. Blah 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 blah. Watch their lesson, and they're saying point for point. They probably said a point or a verse or a precept I did not have. I'm like, dang, I need that. And I go add that in the arsenal. But that's me testing the doctrine. Am I believing this right? Am I saying this right? Because whatever you teach, you're going to be judged strictly on what you're teaching, especially if you're teaching false. Search daily. This is the noble spirit Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is building in his faithful servants. Okay, so anybody that was listening from part 1 and part 2, these are certain precepts I brought out. Acts the 17th chapter, which is the main point, verse 10 and 11. Isaiah 34:16, 1 Thessalonians 5 and 21, 2 Timothy 2 and 15, St. John 8:31 and 32, Psalms 1 and 2, Psalms 119 and 18, Psalms 119, verse 105, Joshua 1 and 8, Sirach 2 and 2, St. John 7 and 17, Acts chapter 5, verse 42, Acts chapter 17, verse 5. And I definitely brought out many other precepts, but these is the ones you want to go around, let alone there's other that we can go into, like Sirach, the 6 chapters, right? You have to have, you got to love to hear, okay? You got to love to hear. And if you are unlearned, wisdom will be unpleasant with you. So let me just get that precept for you before we close so that you can, dissect it and look at it for yourself. So go to Sirach chapter 6, get verse 20, verse 26 and 27. Come unto her with thy whole heart and keep her ways with all thy power. Seek and search, and she shall be made known unto thee. And when thou hast got hold of her, let her not go. And then drop down and read verse 32 to 33. My son, if thou wilt, thou shalt be taught. And if thou wilt apply thy mind, thou shalt be prudent. If thou love to hear, thou shalt receive understanding. If thou bow thine ear, thou shalt be wise. So yes, you're getting understanding by hearing, but you still have to search those scriptures daily if it was so, right? Because that's going to show the believer in you, okay? Especially if you a teacher, our minds, we're still human. It deteriorates, it get weak. Sometimes the more you keep reading, the more you go over this precept, that precept, eventually you find you get new ones and you might forget the old. So again, don't don't just believe. Search the scriptures daily to make yourself even more of a believer, because all this is doing is strengthening your spirit and strengthening your faith. So all praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elder apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well and teach well through the Spirit. A mighty shalom to the hopeful elect that are scattered four corners of the earth, teaching his word and believing his word, Lord willing that they continue to endure and be sincere. Shalom to the Akwath, the sisters of this faith, Lord willing you continue to pursue your lot, which is being a loving and silent and virtuous wife. Lord willing, Yahweh Shema Shai has mercy on the other brothers and sisters that's not in the faith. So with that, I'm going to say shalom, shalom, above all.